the main topics of the two lessons today are appreciating diversity and conflict resolution. So appreciating diversity means you've got to use good judgment. You have to be able to appreciate other people being different than you in some way, shape, form, or fashion, whether it's height, by whatever, what color clothes you like to wear, what you like to eat, whatever. Everybody's different in so many different ways. And then conflict resolution. Conflict resolution takes a lot of judgment. So we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But first thing we're going to do, just like always, we're going to get up. We're going to get loosened up. So if you guys are out and about in your houses, stand up. We're going to do a quick little warm up, and then we're going to go through what I call a toe touch progression. So just like last week, what we're going to do is work on getting stretched out, especially our what we call our posterior chain. So you're going to take your 3 steps, and you're going to grab the back here. And you're really going to push your hips forward, and it's going to stretch out your thigh there. You're going to take 3 steps. I'm going to fall over, and then I'm going to do it again. Take your 3 steps. Pull this back. Take your 3 steps. Pull it back again. So once again, when I get this pulled back, I'm really trying to push my belt buckle forward. That's going to give me a much deeper stretch down the front here, getting into your hip flexors, which gets super tight because we spend so much time sitting down. Okay, then we're going to work on the glutes. So we're going to grab the sock and the shin here right below the knee, and we're going to pull up. And you should feel the stretch here in the glute. Take your 3 steps. Sock and shin, pull up. 3 steps, walk it out. Sock and shin, pull up. Take your 3 steps. Sock and chin, pull up. And then the last one is getting the calves. So we're going to get our heel up. We're going to swoop down. Take your 3 steps, heel up, swoop down behind it. You can really feel that in the calf when you do that. Swoop down, 3 steps, and swoop down. So now we're going to go through what is called, let me lower this down just a little bit here. A little bit more. There we go. All right, so I've got actually have a brick out here. So a toe touch progression is really trying to get to where I can touch my toes so much better. So if those of you out there who literally cannot bend over and touch your toes because you're so tight back in here, this is what we're going to do. You can take a towel and roll it up. You can take a pillow, but what we're going to do is we're going to stick it between our knees. And I'm going to put my feet together so I can really squeeze this. It really activates the outside of my thighs here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my toes pointed up. So my toes are going to be up on this brick here, feet together. Big inhale up, exhale down. Now this is definitely easier to get my toes because the toes are stuck up in the air. Back up, big deep breath, exhale out, get down there. If you don't have a brick, you can get a book, something that's usually about 3 or 4 inches thick. After you do that 10 times with the toes up, we're going to, once again, go over here. We're going to get our heels up. So this gets a lot harder. Big inhale up, push back, go all the way down. So what's going to happen with the heels up, you're really going to get into the hamstrings more. With your toes up, you get into your calves more. Inhale up, push your hips back, exhale down. A lot harder to get to your toes now. So if you do 10 of those with the toes up, 10 with the heels up, and then you come back, squeeze the pillow with your knees, go over, and bam, next thing you know, you're getting down to your toes. If you do that twice a day, I promise you, if you can't touch your toes right now, within no time, you would be able to touch your toes pretty quick, which I didn't believe it. The first time I started doing this and doing the TPI stuff, I was literally this far from my toes. Not even close. Within 2 weeks, I could touch my toes probably for the first time in my life. So if you really want to work on that, work on your flexibility, that's one of the easiest things that you can possibly do. So getting back to conflict resolution, one of the test questions is going to be about care. So care is being able to communicate, actively listen, review options, and end with a win-win situation. So when we get into an argument with people, we're into a situation where things are kind of tense and tough. Very, very, very important that you communicate with the other people about what exactly you're feeling and what you think is going on, what you don't like about the situation, because a lot of times there's a miscommunication that causes an argument. So if you can communicate with the person with what you feel is going on. That usually helps to clear up a lot of misperceptions. And then you have to actively listen. You can't just be one-sided on this. It's very important that you listen what the other person has to say, restate what they say in your own words on how you perceive it, and then see if you can't review options that might come to a really good solution, which is the win-win situation. We want both sides to come out feeling good about the situation. And sometimes it's not the case where everybody feels like perfect and great there. But if you communicate with the other people, that is the biggest and first step, in my opinion. Lack of communication causes so many issues in the world, not just in conflicts, but in the workplace. Sometimes if we don't communicate properly, then things get misconstrued, people get mad, whatever. So make sure that you really work on that. Care, C-A-R-E. Make sure you know that for the test, because you need to identify each of those. Very important. Now, appreciating diversity, we're going to go to our go-to team, because if we have a go-to team that only has one type of people on it, that have one train of thought, do you feel like you're going to get a lot of other opinions if that's your go-to team? Probably not. So it's really important to be very diversified in the amount of people, the type of people, the thought process of the people that are on your go-to team. If everybody just agrees with what you have to say, then you're really not going to get good information and good advice. So make sure you have a very diversified group of people, careers, thoughts, things they like, things they don't like. Very important. So now we're going to get into a couple games real quick. Once again, I stole a couple of these from a buddy of mine who is one of the instructors up at the First Tee of Akron, Coach Jimmy Beers. If you go on Instagram, he's on there a lot too. But what we did is taken you can see this here. We got a box, and in the bottom of the box, let me lift this up a little bit so I can actually see. Need an assistant here. In the bottom of the box, I've cut 3 little holes here. The 10's the biggest, 20's medium, and 30 is the smallest. So my recommendation is challenge a sibling. And it may be, especially if you guys are of similar abilities, it may be where you could actually challenge them, like, okay, we're each going to get 5 or 6 putts. Whoever gets the most points doesn't have to do the dishes. Make it fun, make it competitive. But all we're going to have you do is get set up. Ooh, get a little lower here, a little lower. All right. Going to grab your trusty putter, have a start, have a tee box wherever you're going to be, and you're going to try to get it. There's 20 points. Oh, man. That's pretty good for the old man. See if we can get it over here to 30. Oh, denied. That's 0 points. Still got 20 so far. 20 so far. All right, we're going to roll another one in here. Going for the 10. Oh, missed the 10 badly. Missed the biggest one there. Let's go back to the middle. 20 was pretty successful. Oh, I ended up with 20 points. Looks like I would probably be having to wash the dishes right now, which, what, wouldn't be too good. I don't want to have to wash the dishes, but if I have to, I have to. All right. So our next game, we're going to work on the trajectory in which we're going to hit the shot. So I have my step ladder out here. If you don't have a ladder, maybe you can make something that has some different levels to it. I just taped up pieces of paper. You can put stuff on there like solo cups, maybe with a little water in them, but enough, not too much so they'll still get knocked over. Water bottles, little boxes or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here and once again make it a competition. If you can challenge mom, dad, brother, sister, whatever, you're going to get up here, you're going to get 3 shots. Boom. Hit the 10. Scared my dog. All right. That was actually kind of cool because I actually cracked the paper. Let's go here. We're going to go for the 20. Oh, got the 10 again. Lost the tee. So far, I got 20. Let's see. That's a big tee here. I'm going to put the ball further up in my stance, add a little more loft to the club, and skull it. All right. So anyway, there's a way that you can go out there and work on trajectory. It definitely helps if you've got a wedge to work with, because I don't have a wedge with me. That was my 9-iron. That was actually my old high school set. So a couple different games that you can kind of come up with, things you can do to work on your golf game when you're at home. I hear that they're not allowing people out at driving ranges right now, so you got to find a way to get some practice in. These 2 games are a good way to do it. Working on aim, working on trajectory. Typically, oh, there's a wedge. Look, I had a wedge after all. So obviously trajectory here, this is a 64-degree wedge. Man, I could barely have to turn it. That thing's pretty flat. So the more I lean the shaft forward at impact, the flatter it gets. And now I'm probably like a 6 or 5-iron. If I get it here at 64, that thing's going to go straight up. So work on your trajectory with ball position and how much forward or backwards you lean the shaft at impact, and that's going to help you hit different kinds of shots.